I am the older brother of her two brothers. I was 16 when my sister was removed. 2 days after APS showed up, we were set to move to North Carolina due to a transfer for my father's job. My father was already there working, and we were finishing up packing, and then all the kids and my mother were going to join him. Anyway, APS came, and I stayed with my mother as a witness to what was taking place. When the police came, I asked if they needed a search warrant. They told me to go to the police academy before asking questions and threatened to arrest me. For the trial, which was delayed 3 more times after the initial date, my other sister and I went to testify about the conditions in our home and what it was like with my sister there. The judge refused to let us speak, and we were even denied entry into the courtroom. I recently did my own search for a third lawyer. I contacted all the lawyers I could find who dealt with contested guardianships in Kentucky. I sometimes had to pay for consultations. As soon as they got wind of the case and its complexities, needing to subpoena the documents, etc., they refused to take the case. It was an exhaustive and expensive search that unfortunately got us no closer to getting my sister back. Effort doesn't always yield results, but we have been trying various avenues and remaining hopeful. This has been a huge stressor for our whole family, and overall it's been very frustrating for us. It doesn't make sense that all of this would happen simply because my parents took her phone away. By the way, they took away all of our phones. She was not singled out. And after a few days, we almost always got our phones back. Often she got hers back first. The damage done to our family can never be undone, and the time lost with my sister can never be given back.
My daughter was taken by Adult Protective Services, APS, in Louisville, Kentucky, at age 18. The high school she was attending fed her lies in order to falsely accuse us. They already had CPS investigate us over a previous lie she was urged to report when she was 17. She had been bullied at school, and she had so-called friends who were not good influences. The CPS allegation was found to be unsubstantiated. After she was removed by APS, we hired 2 lawyers. The first lawyer worked on the original guardianship trial. The second lawyer was unable to access the document even after contacting the guardian ad litem, or GAL. The documents, allegations are sealed. The lawyer told us that documents from original trial need to be subpoenaed, but wouldn't file for a subpoena. We're not allowed any visitation or even Zoom calls. They brought the police to retrieve her belongings and medicine. We were not allowed to be in the home, even though we were gathering her things. I set out her medicine, and they didn't even bring it. We believe they were itching to take her out of her Muslim home. She had been raised a Muslim since birth, and they urged her to dress immodestly and take her to church. To add insult to injury, she was removed on September 11th. She is developmentally disabled and deaf. Her levels are significantly lower than her chronological age. She trusts the wrong people and is easily fooled. She was ruled by the court as incapable of making her own decisions. We were aware of this, of course, and always guided her gently and patiently. We raised her with Muslim values of honesty, integrity, and to love God. We kept it to her level as to not overwhelm or confuse her. We contacted Muslims in the area and Muslim organizations. Nobody wanted to get involved. Even family backed down from promises made to help care for her if we were not granted guardianship. She has been a ward of the state since the initial trial. There was no evidence of abuse. If they had conducted an investigation, they wouldn't have even found a scratch anywhere on her. I contacted a Muslim representative of an organization, and she told me that Al Jazeera had contacted her about doing a report on the foster care nightmare for Muslims here. I agreed to participate in this project. Later on, when I called to ask her about it, she said that her organization sternly told her she was not allowed to take part in anything political, etc. The Al Jazeera interview was not going to happen. I did take part in a YouTube program that interviews people whose children were removed. I know this happens to many families. We're not the only ones torn apart by this system. Our family was broken by this. We're just one of many. Kentucky Protective Services has been racked with corruption and scandals. There were even news segments on television about it. In a state with just over 4.5 million people, there are nearly 10,000 kids in foster care. This is due to overzealous workers lacking decency who have no issues with breaking up families and traumatizing children. Even though we took her to all of her appointments and got any assistive devices she needed, I was told we were isolating her. She went everywhere we went. She would go swimming, camping, overseas trips, and even day-to-day trips like running errands. She always went to public school and participated in field trips. We never left her alone by herself at home. She was surrounded by her parents and brothers and sisters who loved her and included her in everything.
Years ago, my disabled sister was manipulated and forcibly removed from our home due to biased, untruthful claims brought against our family without any merit or evidence. This proved what we knew all along, that we have been targets of anti-Islamic sentiment for several years. They removed her on 9/11, a day that, even 24 years later, brands us terrorists. The U.S. government has demonstrated that it cannot be trusted. The claims are completely baseless, and we always had my sister's best interest at heart. We are Muslims, and Muslims in America have had a history of discrimination. We are labeled terrorists by the American government, which has always had an active anti-Muslim agenda, such as the American backing of Israel in Gaza. There are many hardships and difficulties we face simply because we are Muslims. Even overseas, we still encountered bigotry and difficulty in Egypt. The military consistently flew very loud and unnecessary F-16s over our street. This was an obvious statement of power and dominance meant to intimidate and send a clear warning to keep quiet or face dire consequences. This could only be described as harassment, further perpetrated by security guards, officials, and even our neighbors. We believe this was backed by the Egyptian government. Even though they call themselves Muslims, they consistently attack Islam while torturing and imprisoning scholars. This is driven by a desire to control the civilian population and to weaken the Islamic society as a whole.